Okay, are you guys all able to see my PowerPoint today?
Yeah.
Perfect. Great. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so today our topic is Nothing Lost in Translation. Today is April 2nd, 2024. So I want to just take a moment to introduce us here at Bridging Voice. We are a very small but mighty team. We have added some more speech pathologists since we have met with you all last. Of course, we still have our amazing occupational therapist, our programmers, as well as our amazing leader, Karina, who happens to also be joining us as well. Um, just to kind of share a little bit about who we are and what we do, I think, our impact is one of the biggest things that can tell you about who we are. So, since the start of Bridging Voice, we have assisted over, and this was a number that I pulled even a few days ago, so it's probably even higher, just about 2,500 people with ALS, people living with ALS. That's a big number. Um, and we have assisted people in 49 states and 14 countries. And again, that those numbers keep climbing. But what really makes us special is our customizations. We can help and we come up with customizations as well as innovations for people, for PALs. We also provide mentorship to SLPs and caregivers, as well as education. So today you happen to be here with our education. We have an amazing education series. This just happens to be one of them. And we also have two state initiatives assisting PALs in Maryland and in New Jersey. Um, Abby, who is our newest SLP who just joined us a couple weeks ago, is going to drop the links in the chat for us today. So, Abby, if you could drop the links, we are always looking for PALs who need assistance in Maryland and in New Jersey. But the most important thing that I would like you guys all to know is that our services are always free. So please know that we are always here to help. All right. Okay. So today, nothing lost in translation. Harnessing. So I think the word translation gets a little bit confusing, and it was hard to come up with a topic for this. Because really what we're going to be talking about today is much more than just, I think, the translation that you might be thinking of. So this is really harnessing multilingual as well as intonation. And for those of you who don't know what intonation is kind of the rise and fall of the pitch of your voice and using that intonation to create and to convey meaning. The difference of I love you versus I love you, that is what we call intonation and prosody for effective communication. All right. So I'm going to be talking to you about a few things. And the first thing, we're going to be talking about these translation keyboards. So again, three things. So we're going to be talking about bilingual keyboards. Bilingual keyboards are a keyboard, for example, an English keyboard that speaks in English, as well as a Spanish keyboard that speaks in Spanish. And then we also have what's called multiple language translation keyboards. I know your mind just might today, but hold on with me. I'm going to make this really easy. Multiple language translation means, for example, using a keyboard in one language to speak in another language. For example, using a Spanish keyboard to be able to type into Spanish and then have it speak in either Spanish or in English, being able to do both. Okay. Then the last one is this idea of translation using, for example, English to English using this emotional intonation. So these are English keyboards that speak English with a lot of emotion. And that emotion is really what brings in kind of that specialness. So just again, a lot of these, you already have what you need. Surprisingly enough, you have what you need, especially as a speech pathologist, as a user. Bilingual keyboards are built into your computer. You just don't know it but they're there. The multiple language translation keyboards, it's where you need bridging voice to help you with them. That's where our special sauce kind of comes into play to be able to make that work with our innovations, as well as with the the multiple language keyboards, and the intonation keyboards. Now, at the very end of this, I have a very special announcement to make about some technology. And you're going to have to trust me because it's going to like take you out of whatever you thought a voice within a communication device could possibly sound like. So you're not going to want to leave because this is pretty groundbreaking, and I can't wait to share with you. All right. So let's first talk about bilingual keyboards. Again, like I said, you have everything that you need already in your computer in order to make this happen. Bilingual keyboards are available across communication software, iOS and PC, as well as apps. Okay, so Communicator 5, Grid 3, Snap, TD Talk, Control, Mind Express, as well as apps have multiple ways to be able to communicate in different languages. So if I were to go through a step-by-step process for every one of these, we would be absolutely brain dead by the time we got to the end of this. So I am not going to go through step by step on how to make this happen. All right. But what I am going to do is I'm going to give you written instructions. Okay. So Abby, if you want to drop the link for that in the chat, we're going to drop it there. So you've got it now. We are going to send it to you, a link in an after visit summary that or after session summary that we always do that to share the links and the resources. And we're also going to include a hard copy as well, a digital link as well, so that you could print that out easily and have access if you are not quite as savvy with some other links. So we're going to make sure. And your how-to instructions are going to include Communicator, Snap, Grid 3, and Speech Assistant, which Speech Assistant is an app as well. So please don't take notes. Just enjoy, and I've got it all written out for you in the very end. All right. So the first one I'm going to talk to you about again. So we are looking at the bilingual keyboard. This one is going to be in Communicator. Now, I do want to tell you that the audio is a little bit low, so I'm going to try to turn it up on my end, but I encourage you to turn up the audio on your end as well so that you can make sure that you can hear. So let's watch the video one time, then I'll kind of explain what you're seeing, and then we'll watch again. Okay, so we're going to get to watch each of these big topics so that, or each of these different software and applications that you can see them. All right. Now, let's hope that everything works out perfect. All right, let me turn up my volume. Okay. All right, let's test this out. Let's go back. The world of AAC always keeps you on your toes, and this is exactly what we're talking about. Okay, here we go. Let's watch this together, and then let's talk about what you're seeing, okay? Oh, my goodness. Doesn't matter how many times you practice. Ha, let's do this, please. Okay, play. Mm. All right, Malcolm, technical director, do you want to jump in for the assist here and explain why this doesn't want to play?
Trinity, if you're having trouble playing it through the PowerPoint, if you have the video, you might just want to play it directly from the video on your desktop if you have that.
I can do that.
Sometimes PowerPoint. Yeah, sorry. Technical director, do you agree?
Yes.
Malcolm.
All right.
Sometimes PowerPoint does not like videos in it, and sometimes it does.
I had it working perfectly. But this is the world of AAC, right? And this is what happens. You come up with an idea and then you come up with another idea. Plan B and C and D is always important. Okay, now we should be seeing it. All right. So what I want you to notice is that we have an English keyboard up. So Nahum here is actually going to be typing again with your eyes, with your hands, with a mouse, it doesn't matter, or if you're using a keyboard. All right, here we go. Let's watch. He's going to go ahead and type a message for us.
Hello, how are you?
Now he's going to switch to Spanish.
Hola, se habla español.
All right. So what you saw is a keyboard layout. This actually happens to be the QWERTY 10, which is the standard keyboard that comes oftentimes when you pull up Communicator. So typing in English, then he clicks one button, the button right over here on the left-hand side next to the word that you see that says hola currently right now. And then he can switch the language. So it was English, typed in English, spoken English. Then he clicked the Spanish. And again, it flipped and it turned to Spanish. So this is Communicator 5. All right. Now let's look at another one. There we go. And I have to admit, I had no idea that any of these were actually here before joining Bridging Voice. I didn't realize that it could be this easy. Okay, so sticking with the Tobii Dynavox products, let's look at Snap.
You're going to share your screen again?
Oh, I forgot that part. My goodness. I was enjoying the video just over here all by myself. All right. Okay, here is Snap. Let's watch this again. So here I am selecting letters or typing on an English keyboard using Snap.
Hello, how are you?
With one button, now it's switched.
Hola, me llamo Trinity.
So the wonderful thing about this that I want you to notice is it's not just changing your keyboard, right? So it's changing your keyboard, it's changing the language, and it's changing your predictive text as well, your predictions at the top. So those are three key pieces, of course, to generating any message. So it's switching all of those, okay? Now let's check out Grid, and this time I'm going to share my screen instead of just keeping it to myself and watching on my own. Okay, and let me share this. Okay, so again, here's a bilingual keyboard. All right, and again, going to generate the message and then a switch. Okay, here it comes.
Hello, how are you?
Hola, ¿cómo van las cosas?
So surprisingly enough, actually to create this, again, like I said, you have everything that you need. You just, with my little how-to guide, which is not very many steps for each one of these, you easily can make this happen. And it's very effective. Okay, now let's check out Speech Assistant. Okay, so so you saw Communicator, you saw Snap, so Communicator by Toby Dynavox. You saw Snap by Toby Dynavox. You saw Grid by Smartbox. And now let's go look at Speech Assistant. So Speech Assistant is an app that you can put, for example, on an iPhone or an iPad. Again, great way for multilingual communication. Okay. And again, I'm going to share it and not keep it to myself. So let me share my screen.
I hope you are learning something new.
So I'm going to swipe up. I'm going to switch for my Spanish. Again, my phrase has changed.
Que tengas un buen día.
Que tengas un buen día.
Buenas noches.
All right. Very easy to make both of those happen. Now, that being said, as you saw, I'm going to go ahead and advance.
Hello.
We're back and forth.
Steve.
All right. So we saw our video for Snap. We saw our video for Grid. We saw our video for Speech Assistant. Okay. So you have everything that you need to make that happen. All right. So that was an English keyboard going to an English language, Spanish keyboard going to a Spanish language. And there are multiple different options for different languages that you can use. I'm not going to go through them all because every software has different languages that are available. All right. But now let's talk about where, like I was saying, Bridging Voice shines by innovations. We are always, trying to keep our eye out for what's available for new technology and innovations and finding a way to ensure that people with ALS can access it as well as can benefit, using it to the fullest advantage. This is one. This is absolutely awesome. So this is type in one language, beat in another language. Okay. And one of the great reasons this actually came about is we had a person with ALS who was living in a care facility. This person spoke Spanish and his care team spoke English. And usually his family would come in and help translate. But with COVID, his family was not able to come in and translate for them. And so we were able to create this so that he was able to type in Spanish and have it come out in English. Now, we also have some power users who are using this with multiple languages. For example, if you have an amazing caregiver that speaks a different language than you, and there might be a language barrier, this is a wonderful way for you to get your needs met and still being able to manage the language differences. The benefits to this are absolutely too numerous to fit onto a slide from a user standpoint of view, as well as from a caregiver or a therapist standpoint of view. But here's one thing I do want to bring to your attention. When we were talking about bilingual keyboards. Okay, all of that information, like I said, is already in your computer. It does not require Wi-Fi. Everything is there. When we start stepping up, we're stepping up in technology as well. You do need Wi-Fi for this. Okay, so when you say a particular sentence or statement for the first time, you need Wi-Fi. Okay, then that gets saved. If you access it again using the same punctuation and the same wording, for example, like if you were to pull it from a predictive phrase, it would not then be using Wi-Fi. All right. So for this section forward, you need support from Bridging Voice, and you need our special sauce for our innovations that we've made to make this happen. Okay, let's talk about this. So we have created a program, an innovation program that allows you to harness Google Translate. So the way that it does, you type a message, it gets sent out to Google Translate, and it comes back. As we know, there are a lot of languages out there that unfortunately do not have support within a communication device. Here's an amazing opportunity for that. Okay, you type in one language, it goes out to Google Translate, and it comes back. Now, when we talk about what languages are available, here is a list of what languages are available. Abby, can you drop the link? So Abby's going to drop the link to what's available in Google. I want you to notice there's two different things with that link, okay? One link is that what's available with a voice, and the other one is what's available for translation, but doesn't have a Google Voice attached to it. Okay, there are workarounds for that, so we can still do it. But again, remember, you need Bridging Voice help for this. This is an amazing amount of languages. We have a pals who splits his time between Mexico and the United States. And so he uses this a ton. He's also learning Spanish as well. And so he's using both of these as not only to communicate with caregiving staff while he's in Mexico, but as well to improve his own language skills. All right. Okay, let me step out of this and I will show you guys the video for Google Translate. This is awesome. All right.
We don't see the video.
I'm pulling it right now. Here it is. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so what I am going to show you is a communicator keyboard, okay? But this can be done with MindExpress, it can be done with Grid, and it can be done in Communicator as well. So I just want to show you that even though I'm showing you just Communicator, it is available with other software options as well. All right. So quick notice, I want you to see, this is an English keyboard. And at the top, I have two speak buttons. So one is going to be speak in English, and the other one is going to be speak in Spanish. You can see I have the Mexican flag up. So let's go ahead and watch.
Hello, how are you?
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Absolutely love that. Now, one thing that I want you guys to notice is that I intentionally left the voices as different as possible so that you guys could hear and be able to really see the difference with the voices. All right. So again, one message and I can speak in multiple languages. Again, keyboard stays the same. That being said, like I mentioned previously, we do have some amazing power users who have 3 or 4 different languages with different buttons that they can choose from, which language they want to speak it in. Absolutely awesome, this Google Translate feature. But again, the reason that you need Wi-Fi is because it needs to go out to Google Translate and it comes back in. All right. Okay, so we've talked about bilingual keyboards. We've talked about translation keyboards. Now this is where we start to really ramp up in the awesome factor. Okay, so this is our emotional intonation features. So this is where how you say it matters. All right. So this is, again, important features for this and why you would use it. Emotional conversations, also public speaking, because the voices that come from Google are absolutely fabulous. They're a much higher quality than, for example, what's called a sappy voice, which is a voice that you will oftentimes find within your communication device. And you say, well, why can't I have that amazing voice inside of my communication device? Well, because Google has buildings and buildings and buildings of computers that are processing all of this. And unfortunately, your communication device cannot hold all of these processors that make this amazing voice. But wait, that's like a little foreshadowing as to what's coming next. But that being said, we have had a lot of pals who have used this in this kind of English to English translation in order to get a better voice. For example, we had a pals who was an author and she was going on her final book tour. And so she used this. So what she would do is she would type up her speech and the things that she wanted to talk about. She would send them at home. She would send them off to Google Translate. They would come back in with this great voice. And then when she was out doing her book tours or interacting with people, she didn't need Wi-Fi because remember I told you it only needs to go out and come back once. So it went out, came back once, and then when she was out actually giving her book speech, she didn't need to have Wi-Fi. She would just choose them, and then she had this great intonation and this great vocal quality. And you can do some really fun things with these, okay? This is not just about emotion and intonation. You can also put sounds in. You can, for example, instead of saying a cuss word, you could say beep, 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 beep. So there's a lot of really fun things to do with this. So one of our amazing clients created this keyboard, right? Again, this is on Communicator, but it is available. These can be done on other software as well. I'm just showing you the keyboard. So across the top, so you're going to see normal keyboard. All I did was take the message window, shorten it by 1, and then I added these row of buttons. And again, this is where you need the customization and the innovation help from Bridging Voice. So you can speak using a different tone of voice. For example, firm, lively, empathetic. And I have to tell you that lively really sounds sassy. So I think it should be named sassy. But we're going to listen to this one a couple of times because I want you to see what's happening. I'm going to start speaking using my Toby voice, okay? Then I'm going to switch over and show you how you can get sassy in the middle of a conversation. And then I'm going to go back to my Toby voice. And then you're going to hear me use what's the empathetic or the sympathetic voice towards the end. So we'll listen to it once and then we'll kind of go, and then I'll go back and play it for you again. All right. This one is pretty amazing. All right, let me stop my share. And let me grab the other video. All right, and again, in this one, I'm typing instead of clicking, but any access method to choose the letters would be absolutely appropriate. Okay, here it comes. All right, here it is. This is where my sassy voice is going to come in. And then I'm going to stop talking sassy. And then here's where my empathetic or sympathetic voice comes into play.
I love the the way these new emotions make my voice sound. I can sound sassy, or I can convey my sympathies. I am so glad you came to talk to me.
Absolutely love that, the way that that sounds. So again, let's listen to that again so you can hear all of the different ways that my voice changes during this conversation. So one sentence and my voice changes.
I love the way these new emotions make my voice sound.
It's my Google
I can
voice.
sound sassy, or I can convey my sympathies. I am so glad you came to talk to me.
All right. That is amazing to be able to go back and forth and have that change of emotion, with just one button click. You can go back and forth and be able to change your emotion and your feelings. But a big reason that that one of our clients chose to do this is because she had some new caregivers that weren't used to her speech generating device voice. And so there was some emotion that sometimes the caregivers read into it or thought that she was being mean or blunt, when in fact she wasn't. It was just that she didn't have the normal emotion in her voice that's maybe that you would have if you were using your natural speech. So it was a great way to help with some communication breakdowns. So again, either improve your communication breakdowns, improve your emotion to being able to have an exchange with somebody, or for public speaking or podcasts or anything of the above. So an absolutely fun way to use it. All right. Okay. So let's go through this a little bit. So you already have what you need for the bilingual keyboard features. A step-by-step guide is going to be emailed. Again, we dropped it in the link and it's going to be emailed to you. Now, where you need the BV, the bridging voice support, is with the custom translation, which that is using, as well as the emotion keyboards, which use the innovation of targeting the Google Translate. Okay. But now, here's the sneak peek of the upcoming technology. All right. Okay. So again, we talked about this innovation, and this is like right on the edge. Like you see it here, this is where it's coming from. So our team, like I said, is constantly keeping its pulse. And one of the new innovations, which you may have seen many times in the news, is this whole idea of AI voices. Or deep fake voices, as sometimes people will say. And everyone says, well, why can't I have that kind of voice in my communication device? Again, like I said earlier, the processors that are required to make these voices could not be held on your computer. And if it could be, no one wants to carry that around on their wheelchair or carry it with them, from here to there. But this is an amazing program that allows you to use an AI voice in your communication device. Okay. So again, we're going out to get your AI voice and we're bringing it in. So Nachum is going to be doing a training on its exact topic, actually using the 11 Labs AI voice technology in May. So that is going to be May 7th. So just in a month. And then 2 weeks after that, Annie is going to be doing a presentation again on how you can use these great voices that we talked about, whether it's Google Translate, whether it's 11 Labs, to do everything from public speaking to podcasts to giving a speech. Graduations are coming up, so being able to give a graduation speech or anything of the above. All right, let's hope that I can get this one to play. But here's the thing I want to tell you about this. This is not someone's natural voice. This is actually I'm going to say banked voice because that's what we're all used to, thinking about creating voices. This is an AI created voice from voice files that were sent in. It's hard to believe that this is not somebody actually speaking as an audio file. All right, let's see if we can get this to play.
Hello all, Bridging Voice connected me with 11 Labs in New York. We sent them 3 hours of my recorded voice from a podcast I've been doing for over 4 years. I was fortunate to have all that recorded material from when my voice was still strong. 11 Labs cloned my voice and now I can type in words and phrases and their AI engine will read it in my voice. I find as I've been using it that it is getting better too. I've recorded 3 shows so far, and the listener feedback is very positive. In May, I expect to use this voice at a board meeting and at a speech to accept an award I am receiving. I am so happy and feel so indebted to both 11 Labs and Bridging Voice.
Wild, right? That is not somebody using their natural voice. That is actually an AI or, like a speech generating device voice. That's wild. This is amazing. So, like I said, May 9th, Nachum is going to be talking about how you can make this happen for yourself as well. Super, super exciting about where this new technology is going. And we're right on the edge. You guys are hearing it first.
Hello all.
Okay. So we have a professional development attendance attestation that we are going to be dropping in the chat. You are welcome to, if you would like to get a professional development certificate, you are welcome to go ahead and request that. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to me as well as Bridging Voice info team as well. Abby will drop our info link as well. We are here to help you achieve this. So at this time, I'm going to stop our share and I am going to open it up because I'm sure I left lots of times. I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions. We can also go through the chat as well. We are here to answer questions. Our entire team is available. So please feel free to turn your microphones on, use the chat feature, whatever works best for you. Ooh, someone uses their voice from AI Labs, or sorry, your 11 Labs.
Hey, Gary, you want to say something? Gary is here and he's actually uses the 11 Labs voice. Let's get some deep Southern.
This is my voice for using Model Tucker.
All right, so that was his Model Talker voice.
This is my new AI voice enabled by 11 Labs. It is great because it has intonation.
Awesome.
That's really great, Gary.
And what's interesting is that Gary used, I'm sure, Gary, you don't mind me saying this, Gary used his original Model Talker files to create the 11 Labs voice. So since that wasn't overly emotional, speaking about Oz, so that's why his final voice is not going to be as emotional, the podcaster fellow. It's going to be a real representation of whatever you put in. So, but it's amazing. The more you put in, the more natural it will sound. But that's only.
And Gary was one of our first beta testers of this new program created by our innovation team at Bridging Voice to connect the 11 Labs AI voices to speech generating devices. So Gary was one of the very first to test it out for us.
All right. So a few things that I want to bring up. So we kind of gave you 3 different levels. Like I said, we got the bilingual keyboard, which you already have in terms of, you set it up, you're ready to go. The second one is the translation, which again, you need help to set that up. You do need Wi-Fi to make that work. And then lastly is the intonation keyboard, which again, you need support to set that up. Here's one thing that I didn't mention about with the translation. So with the translation using the Google Translate, so one language into another, or with emotion, I do want you to be aware, and you may have seen it in my video, when you hit the speak button, there's going to be a few seconds between when you send it out, it goes to Google, flies all around the world, and comes back to you. So just know that there is a little bit of a delay between when you hit speak until when it comes back again. I wanted to share that with you. So with phrases, for example, when I talked about that you send it out and then it comes back to you, that gets stored as a prediction phrase or a phrase in your history that you can go grab from. You won't have a delay with those. Those will be ready for you right away because it doesn't have to go out. Anything that's saved gets to stay. All right, we had another question. Do I have to pay for the Google Translate, which is the English or one language and translated to another, or the emotions? No, as of right now, you do not have to pay for those. So the bilingual keyboards, as well as everything that I've shown you up until our sneak peek, because I'm going to hold on to our sneak peek to discuss costs related to that, is that you do not have to pay for any of these, including our support in order to make this work. So no cost. Amazing things and no cost. How could it get much better than that on a Saturday? I can't imagine it could get much better than that. Gary, someone would like to know how you spoke so quickly. And Gary, just to let you know, you are muted. I do have to tell you a little secret over here. When Nachum sends me a direct message, sometimes you can look at his face and he'll giggle a little bit. That's what he's doing right now. So his direct message to me was, well, why didn't the vendor show me how to do this? Nachum, would you like to answer your own question? Yes, you should. Karina. Nachum, are you going to answer your own question?
Demo.
What did Gary say?
Gary said he queued it up.
Demo. I have it queued up to demo.
Okay.
Has it queued up to demo? Again, like we said, right? You send it out to same thing. It goes out to 11 Labs or it goes out to Google Translate. You have it saved as a button that you can just quickly grab a hold of so that you can say it so quickly. Just as a curiosity, you can either raise your hand, turn your camera off, put it in the chat. Have any of you ever used any of these strategies? Obviously, Gary has. But has anybody else used any of these strategies, whether a translation, Google Translate, or a multilingual board? Jen has. She used it with Grid 3 software using Google Translate for English to Arabic, she said. Thanks for sharing that, Jen. So Jen did English to Arabic. Has anybody else used it? Becca, you have?
Yes. So Trinity, you and your team helped last week, and we used this with a patient in a LTAC, and she's Spanish speaking, was having trouble communicating with staff, and yeah, you guys helped set this up, and we used it with her, and she got the hang of it pretty quickly. Her first phrase that she said to us was, "I want to eat by mouth." And for any SLPs on this call, you know a big deal. And that's definitely something she'd probably been thinking about and hadn't conveyed. So yeah, it was really amazing.
So we set it up one day. So one session, I set it up with Becca and the team at CCALS. And then the very next day happened to be my birthday. And I got a little video of the pals using the video. It's like a great birthday present. Big smile on the pal's face, like using it right away. It was awesome. Yeah. All right. Does anybody else have any questions at all about emotions, how to receive services, translate? So Lisa asked, Lisa, can you confirm for me, are you talking about the emotion keyboard? Yeah. Okay. So in order to get the emotion keyboard, all you have to do is sign up for a session with us. Okay. So normally I would tell everyone you can reach out to us at info@bridgingvoice.org. Lisa, in your case, I already know your email, so I'll reach out to you. We will go ahead and get your information. We'll do what we call an onboard. So we'll get your information put into our system. Then we'll set up a visit for us together, and I can remote log in to your device, whatever device you're using, and then we can talk about what keyboard options you have available. But for all of your adorable grandbabies, using an emotional keyboard is wonderful for reading storybooks. All those great stories that you want to read. It's great for your emotional keyboard with using emotions with your keyboard.
So did you say the next training is to learn how to get the translation on and like toggle back and forth? Or what's the next?
No. So if the translation, so like just the straight translation. So if you're doing bilingual keyboard, I'm going to be sending you the written instructions. So you drop that in the link. But here's the thing. If you ever have questions about anything, you can reach out to us. We are always, even though we give it to you, you're always here for that. The next translation, May 9th, that one is going to be with Nachum sharing how to get 11 labs, how to do the 11 labs process and be able to use the 11 labs within your communication device. And Abby has the link. Abby, can you drop that link again for us? And then 2 weeks after that is just strategies on how to use your voice for public speaking and, all of those, again, features that you already have, they just don't get used.
Got it. Thank you.
Absolutely. So Sarah, we hope to see you there. All right. If nobody else has any questions, we can say goodbye, or you're welcome to ask other questions. I can stop the recording on this, and then you are welcome to ask any other communication-related questions that you might have, since you have the whole team here. But thank you all for coming. We will say goodbye to everyone watching on YouTube. And I have to give my YouTube spiel. If you like what you see today, please subscribe to our channel and follow up. There's a ton of other videos on there, including art and light tech communication and gaming and environmental controls. If you can think it, it's probably there. And if you can think it and it's not there, please tell us and we will make sure. I will make sure this year for us to cover it. I always love for you guys to come up with things, so I'm not having to come up with the ideas. Gary did say that he has used the Google Translate for speaking engagements and podcasts that he's participated in. Gary, thank you for that input. All right, I'm going to stop our recording.